Welcome to Romance Rex, where book besties explore the world of romance novels and encourage you to expand your TBR. Join us as we dive into the hottest releases and hidden gems of the genre. You can find us on Instagram and Threads at Romance Rex Pod. Hi, guys. I'm Deb. Hi, okay. I am currently reading Spiral by Bal Cabra. Now, it is an arc, but I know y'all like to tussle. Don't worry. It will be out and available on January 28th.
I'm Jordan. I am re-listening to Heat of the Everflame by Penn Cole. Just getting in the mood. Just getting in the mood.
Perfect.
And I am reading Scandal by Nevessa Allen.
Ooh, I want to read that.
I love a Nevessa Allen. Mm-hmm. And who, pray tell, do we have in studio with us today?
It's me. I'm Penn Cole, author of Heat of the Everflame and Spark of the Everflame and Glow of the Everflame and someday Burn of the Everflame.
Yeah! Thank you. Yes.
And I'm switching between two books right now. I'm reading Book of Azrael by Amber V. Nicole, who I love so much. I adore her. I know.
Yes.
I know. Diana is queen, right?
Yeah. Yes. We are obsessed.
And I just paused to read my friend Helen Scheuer's book that's coming out, Iron and Embers, which is a spinoff of her very popular series, Legends of Desmar. And I think it's also out on January 28th. So
big day.
Check it out. Yes.
Yeah. January 28th is definitely when a lot of books are coming out. So that's exciting. I'm excited to see what else.
A lot of good things to start out the year.
Exactly. Now, I do want to kick us off with a quote here. And I may have done some homework. I didn't need to do too much because honestly, everything this man says is like golden to me. Pen, do you know what I'm going to say?
I have a feeling.
Here is a quote from Heat of the Everflame by my book boyfriend, book husband. At this point, y'all could keep the boyfriend title because that's my man. But he says, desire. He gave a dark, throaty laugh. Desire is a pathetic word for what I feel for you. I require you. I am sustained by you. You are the flame that fuels my fire. Don't you dare question that. Not for a second. I mean,
I won't.
That's my boy.
Everything he says is so good, but honestly, it's so hard to pick from my favorite Luther quote, but I wanted to share that one specifically because I require you, I am sustained by you.
Yeah,
our man can give a speech. What can I say?
Yeah. You built him that way. That's the best part. Like, you built him to be able to say these things. So yeah, that's my quote for today. I know, right? How I'm bothered.
Yeah. It was hard not to go with a Luther quote, to be honest. But I was like, I gotta give some more credit to Dia because I don't feel like she gets enough.
Thank you.
So
I appreciate that.
Yes. Oh, trust me, we'll get into the things we see happening.
Oh no.
No, all good from us. All good.
Okay, good.
It's from Heat of the Everflame. But I knew men like him. I'd outsmarted and outmatched them all my life. They didn't trifle with silly things like logic or reason. They were bullies, and bullies only responded to fear.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we love a badass FMC. Yeah, love that.
Tell him, girl.
I know.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah,
I thought it was very poignant too. I feel like we need this quote right now. Like, let's...
yeah. Yes. Period. Have you got? Do you have a quote for us, Penn?
Well, I thought I would share a quote from Burn. Actually, I thought maybe you might enjoy that. Something no one has seen at all. No one.
Okay.
I'm going to give you zero context for this quote. And let you all just spiral, which is my favorite thing.
Thank you so much.
Okay. It's a little bit of a strange quote, but here goes. Balance is needed, balance is offered, balance is owed. In sacred soil, three hearts entwined must be shattered and sowed. One life taken, one life given, one life a burden bestowed.
Ideas. scary ideas.
Who knows?
My brain feels like a bag of cats right now. I'm like
I have
latching
sweaty
onto
palms.
every possible.
Things just like
The thing about a riddle is I want to know who's the
know.
speaker. I want to know who's saying
I
it.
don't even.
I want to know who's there. Penn's like,
Can't
I
say.
know. Can't tell
Can't
ya.
say.
But it's tricky.
As our girl Ursel says, our Umbros queen, prophecies can have many meanings.
Mm-hmm.
Many meanings.
I hate this for me.
That's where I am. That's where I am right now in my
You're welcome.
re-listen too. We're in
Love her.
Umbros for
Love her. That's my girl.
Oh my gosh. Well, I know all of our listeners are probably spiraling with us, so thanks for that, Penn. we appreciate it so
welcome. I can't wait to re-listen to that and really digest it.
You're overanalyzing that.
Over.
Yeah. All right, cool. So now that we have that captivating quote,
No,
thank you.
Thank you.
Should be easy to focus for the rest of the podcast, right?
Right. We're definitely going to fly through this. I'm not going to be thinking about it in the back of my mind at all. But yeah, I know Jordan and I picked quotes from Heat, and we've got a re-release coming up. But yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about the re-releases and maybe any other announcements that you'd like to mention right now before we get into the nitty-gritty?
Well, a lot is going on. A lot.
Yes.
The series was picked up. So it was originally self-published. It was picked up by Atria, which is an imprint of Simon & Schuster for the print editions. And so those are slowly re-releasing. Spark and Glow are already out. Heat re-releases in print on March 11th, very, very soon. Super excited about that. It's got a exclusive POV bonus chapter from Luther that's so great. It's it's tied to the moment they have in the inn in Umbros. That's all I'll say. Okay. Which is a moment, right?
Yes.
Interesting. And there is a pre-order incentive. If you pre-order the new edition of Heat, you can get another bonus chapter from Taryn's point of view of a little special moment between him and Zalric, our baby boy who we love. I know. I'm so excited about that one.
I love them too.
And then I have a ton of tours and events going on this year. I have a full list of them on my website, but the ones coming up soonest, I have a German tour next week. And then I'll be along the west coast of the US in February, Seattle, Portland, San Diego, LA, and Romantasy BookCon. So excited about that. I'll be at a Polycon in DC in April. I'll be at Villains and Vixens in Dallas in September. I'll be at Rare London in July. And we are working on a US and Canada tour over the summer. So hopefully we'll hit some more spots that we haven't been able to hit.
Yes, we love that. Oh, we're going to
congratulations.
Busy year.
So busy and exciting.
Very exciting.
Well earned. And we'll see you in Seattle. So
I'm so excited about that.
We'll be there.
So excited. We can reassess the quote then. Come back to your theories. Right.
Yes.
We might have to tussle.
We'll have words for sure. Oh, it's so fun. Just watching your journey from like when I started watching yours, it's been so fun and just really inspiring to watch. It's so
been
great.
Crazy. It's been
I love that.
Weird and wild and wonderful.
Yeah, I'm sure it definitely comes with the ups and downs, but I don't know. There's something about when I first started interacting with you as like, a reader who was just loving your work. And you just had this vibe. I was like, ooh, I like it. I like it.
Thank you.
And you're just so engaging with your community and the readers. And I feel like that's what like really pulled me into you. Like that was my buy-in to you as an author. Even though I'd already I'd read the series. I was eating it up. I needed more, cool. Was waiting for the last one. But like to also feel that buy-in with you and want to like see you do well and want to watch you grow and like seeing your career just move and spread like wildfire. I think that's just been like so nice because I feel like you deserve it. I feel like we've been besties for so long,
We totally have. And
like,
we definitely have.
Yeah. And I'm just cheering my bestie. Go bestie, go. So,
thank you, bestie.
It's just been really nice to watch everything take off. And and you killed it. the story.
Thank you.
The story so far is actually amazing. It's great reading. So that just makes it super easy. And like, I mean, of course, we all want to know, like, what inspired the idea for this story for you? Like, is this a situation where you were like, one day you woke up, you were like, I have the whole thing, or have you been working on this for years? Like, how did it come about?
I always knew I wanted to write a romancy for, years and years and years, but I didn't really have a clear vision of what I wanted to write. I kind of knew some themes that I wanted to touch on and some ideas for characters or certain little plot twists, little bits here and there. But it wasn't until it wasn't until actually during the pandemic when I was unemployed because I had moved overseas and I had to leave my job as a result, and I just was not able to find a job here in France, that I really started saying, okay, maybe this is the time for me to write. If I did, what would I write? And that's when I sat down and I had this tiny, no pun intended, spark of an idea. And I don't know if everyone who's listening has read the book, so I don't want to give any spoilers. But if you have finished Spark, the thing that happens at the very end, like the last line of Spark, was kind of the nugget off of which it was all built. Because I started thinking about, okay, if this thing happens, what's the fallout from that? What does a world look like where something like this could happen? And how does that change how people interact and how, wealth is distributed and how people treat people with power? Like, if this is a possibility in the world, what are the sociological consequences of that? Right. So that was a really interesting thread for me to pull on. And I also, in part because of everything that was going on in the world, I had, themes of injustice and colonization and inequality were really heavy on my heart. And I wanted to tackle those in a way that was sort of separated from the baggage people bring in from their everyday lives, where they have cemented themselves in a particular position and nothing is going to push them out of that position, But when you come into fantasy, that's one of the best parts about fantasy is people can very easily find themselves rooting for somebody in a fantasy story that they wouldn't in real life. And I was kind of hoping to just like close that divide a little bit. You know what I mean? A little more, and maybe like work my way into their brain and hopefully plant some seeds that when they then leave this world and return to their everyday lives, they might look at certain things and certain groups of people with maybe a little bit more compassion and empathy for what they're going through. So that was and has always been a really big part of why I do the things that I do in my books.
Yeah.
I think
it shows. I love it.
I was just saying it comes across.
It comes across.
Thinking about all of those different aspects, and because I'm going through my reread, right? The first time I go through it, I'm just eating it up so fast because like the story is so exciting, and I think about all these things, but I think about it and move on. And this time going through it, because I read it the first time, now I'm listening to it, and so I'm able to kind of sit with those bigger ideas even more. And it's amazing. Like just the way you tackle all of that is amazing. I think it's amazing, and it's really well done, and it's really thorough, and it's so great.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's the stuff that keeps me up at nights. I mean, when I'm writing, it's not, the characters are going to do what they're going to do, but but the stuff that really plagues me as an author is like, am I handling these things sensitively, thoughtfully? Am I handling them responsibly? Obviously, I have a lot of privilege, and so that creates blind spots, and I want to make sure that I'm being really thoughtful about how I handle those and doing my research and, never being careless with anything. So it's something I'm certainly not perfect, and I'm sure there's plenty of valid criticism out there, but it's something that I care a lot about doing right.
Right. Yeah. I love it because fantasy also makes it super digestible for people.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're reading. So like, even though you're like, oh, I'm just reading a little book, those things are going to stay with you. Like unless you just read and go blank, like, and I know some people might actually read like that, like they read and then go blank. But for the most part, I feel like there's that it's going to linger. Even if you can't remember why you feel, you're going to see something, you're going to be like, that's rubbing me the wrong way. And it'll start in this world that you just digested on, like, I'm just going to read a cute little story. So yeah, I think the power of your words and the way you crafted the world, it's chef's kiss. Ooh, is that the first chef's kiss of the season? Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's, I don't know, just so fun to read. So we've talked about you've been through a lot, and like, it feels like quickly, and I'm sure it sometimes feels quickly. I'm sure for you, sometimes feels like you've been going through this for a while. When you started out writing, so during the pandemic and stuff, was it just like, I'm just going to put this out there and see what happens? Or did you say, if I'm going to do this, the goal is to get a trad deal eventually? Or if not, like, what was the tipping point in your journey that made you want to go into traditional publishing and accept that? I mean, I know money's always a thing, but like to give your baby away and like take that help.
Yeah, it was it was something I spent a lot of time thinking about before, during, and after I published. I always knew I wanted to self-publish. I never really thought about going the trad route to begin with. I did my research and I looked into it, and I felt very strongly that I wanted to maintain control over my book and my publishing schedule and, every aspect of it, my covers, everything. And of course, the money aspect too is like a huge difference between indie and trad. And so I never, queried with agents or put it on sub or anything like that. I joined a ton of forums that were really specifically for indie authors. And I just learned as much as I possibly could about self-publishing. And I was really committed to that. I certainly was seeing authors getting picked up by trad. And I thought that might be interesting. But again, I really wanted the control and the money. And so I wasn't chasing that really. What was most interesting to me from kind of a trad perspective was a lot of publishers were doing print-only deals where they let the authors keep their ebook rights, and in some cases their audiobook rights, and they only handled the print editions. And not a lot of publishers were doing that. When I got started, it was really just Bloom, who was kind of the only. Maybe some other publishers were doing it like one-off for super successful authors. But for the most part, it was really just Bloom that was doing it. And so that was kind of my goal, right? It was like, okay, well, I want this print deal with Bloom. And foreshadowing, they did not want me. They turned me down. I love them. We support them. They're great. They're wonderful. We still love them. But when they did turn me down, I thought, okay, that ship has sailed. Like, that dream has passed. I'm going to be indie and I'm going to commit to doing it well. And then mid last year, Atria approached me, and they are with Simon & Schuster, one of the biggest publishers in the world. And as far as I knew, they did not do print deals. And I told my agent was kind of like, will you consider it? Will you maybe give away all your rights? And I did a lot of soul searching. I talked to a lot of authors, very, very successful authors who had different kinds of deals. Some of them had print deals, some of them didn't. And I walked away from that feeling very strongly that I should hold on to my rights. And so I told my agent, I only want a print deal. If they don't want to talk about a print deal, then I'm just going to stay indie. Well, they wanted to talk about a print deal.
Oh,
so
that's amazing.
That was super unexpected. And truly, it was like a dream deal for me. I could not have asked for a better setup because they have all the resources of, a massive $1 billion publisher. Right. But I get to continue to be kind of a hybrid, sort of half indie, half trad author. And still hold on to control of my books. And ultimately the decision about when to publish them, how to publish them rests with me. So I'm so grateful to have a really good partner in them. They get it. They understand the new landscape of publishing. They're super forward thinking. They're super supportive of me and my indie stuff. One of the examples is I promised everybody that if they bought an indie copy, right, of my books, that they would be able to complete their set. And Atria was fully on board with like, okay, we want to make sure these people are able to complete their set too. So even though that's not really something that publishers do, they were like, we'll find a way to make it happen. So I just feel incredibly lucky to have them and be working with them on this kind of republishing.
Yeah. Well, I love that you're like grateful and you feel lucky, but they saw the material.
Listen, I'm making them a ton of money, okay?
Yeah, okay. That's what I'm saying.
Everybody's benefiting here.
Yes, exactly. Like, I'm so happy. You're so grateful. Thank you. Love that for you, babe. Oh my gosh, such a kind woman. Atria is looking like,
we're all happy. It's a win-win for everyone involved.
It's a beautiful relationship. So everyone's getting something. Yeah. Well, I love that.
I love that. That's so interesting. And I think it explains a lot about you. So we love following you on socials because, and we talk about it all the time. Like, I'll get in the group chat and I'll be like, Penn's on it again. She's calling out. Did you see what Penn posted today? I was like, like we got on and I was like, she's over in Paris and she's had a whole day of like shutting down trolls on Threads already. And it's been so fun to watch. I get up, I'm like, who's Penn calling out today? I love it. And so, but between that and it's more like sticking up for people, not even just people, but also other authors and just the support that you put out into the world. And it explains so much, all the research you did, and it sounds like utilized these communities so much from day one to educate yourself. And I just love the community feel that you put out there and the support.
Yeah. It's my favorite part.
It's so refreshing to see. And it's so fun to watch.
I'm trying to be better about calling in instead of calling out. Because when I was younger and angrier, any good, smart, young person is angry at all of the injustice in the world. And you want to call people out. You want to be outraged. And I think there's a place for that. And that is an important voice. But as I've gotten older and I've kind of been through that phase, I've said, I think it's time to start calling in and saying, instead of you're doing wrong, it's what can we do right? How do we fix this? How do we become more solution oriented and like focus on making things better for people instead of just being mad that they're bad.
And I think that encapsulates it a lot better than the way I said it, because but it's because it's like it's more of what you do. Now that you say that, it's more of an acknowledgement, acknowledging it, and here's what should be happening. Right. Or here, if you're struggling with this because this issue is happening, here's what you can do, and here are the resources. And just being so transparent about your whole process has, I'm sure, helped a lot of authors. And
I hope so. Yeah. I'm like very big. I love talking shop. I love sharing data. I'm such a data girl.
Oh, I loved when you posted that at the end of the year.
I love just talking about numbers and trends and patterns and, what's going on in the industry. It's my favorite thing.
Yeah. I love that. I love it. I love it all. I eat it up. My favorite though is actually when you troll. Like that is my favorite.
I do love to
in the Discord, on Threads,
everywhere.
The trolling part. Yeah, your bio on Instagram grinds my gears.
That Discord is off the rails.
And it's calmed down so much, because I haven't had a book out in a while. It's gotten relatively quiet for us. It's quiet for us. When I was at the end of 2023, when stuff was really ramping up, I almost didn't sleep because it was just popping around the clock.
Messages,
it's great,
notifications.
Though. I love it. It's my favorite place. It's like my little home. So I love it.
Yeah. And you're always in there. And again, your outreach, your community, bringing people in, just being involved with the people who are reading your work and also just kind of want to support you. I love that. That's one of my favorite reasons for supporting you as an author is because you're looking back at your community and be like, hi guys, I'm here. Let's chat. Instead of just isolating yourself. Here's some books, go read it in a corner and leave me alone. So, I love that.
For the authors who do that, I get it. It's sometimes for your own mental health and to protect your creativity, you have to wall yourself off a little bit. And that's, certainly something I'm still trying to find a balance on. But for me, writing is my favorite part. But very close after that is like interacting with readers and getting to know readers and just talking about books. So that like recharges me and refills me. And so I try and do at least a little bit of it every day if I can.
Yeah, you're killing it. Mm-hmm. Speaking of readers getting to know you and you getting to know readers, drum roll please, because it is the time for this or that. All right, these are rapid fire. You can't even think about it. Your brain just needs to respond. I know, it's scary.
I'm a Capricorn, so I don't really fire anything off without thinking about it. But all right, let's see.
Deliberation.
I always say we don't yuck people's yums here, so
we don't.
So even if there are judgments, that'll stay in our head.
Got it. Perfect.
On Jordan, I am going to judge you openly and on camera.
That's true.
I don't know what Jordan's talking about. I am going to judge you. Just so you know what you're getting into. All right. Let's ready. Okay. Physical or ebook?
Ebook.
Ooh, surprising.
I live in like a shoebox in Europe. I have 1 inch of bookshelf space. Like
we don't have ebooks.
Sorry,
okay.
It's ebooks.
I actually wasn't expecting that. I love that. Okay. Hot or iced drink?
Iced.
Okay.
For sure. I'm from Texas. It's yummy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Which region of Amarian would you live in?
Umbras.
That makes sense.
Me too.
What powers do you want?
I think healing, because even though they're not, I know, okay, they're not as flashy. They're not as flashy, but like you would never lose somebody you care about. You know what I mean? Like you.
All right, I judged prematurely. Yeah.
Good life lesson. For
all
you,
right,
and you can make a lot of money too.
True. Okay, there we go.
Okay.
Sorry, I judged too fast. All right. This is the last one for me. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. 2 tropes. Ready? One bed or who did this to you?
Who did this to you?
Yeah. Period. Because Luther exists.
Yeah. I mean.
All right. Discreet cover or cartoon?
That's tough. Usually like the original Scandalous covers.
The bodice.
Let's go with I don't love either of them, if I'm being real honest.
That's fair.
That's valid. That's
okay. We'll say cartoon. There's been some cute cartoon ones.
You could get sexy cartoon. We could do like a Scandalous, like illustrated.
There you go.
That's it. I hate them both.
Yeah. Second Chance or Friends to Lovers?
Okay. Second Chance, but only if it's like based on a misunderstanding or a something happened. Not when they broke up because like one of them was a jerk to the other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For a valid reason.
We're not looking back if they're jerks, right?
Right.
But if he was actually in love with her, but she thought he hated her or something like that, I'm all in on that.
Second Chance.
That is the correct answer. Yes.
Yes.
Quick, name your top 3 book boyfriends.
Aaron Warner from Shatter Me, for sure. Love him.
You can say your own. It's okay.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, Luther.
Okay. I thought he was going to be number 1.
I didn't know.
There's no judgment here.
And then for number 3, gosh, who do I love? Oh, Max from Daughter of No Worlds. Carissa.
Max Antarius.
Love him. He's so grumpy. I love a grumpy
He's so
MMC.
pissed off. He's so pissed off. But a puppy. A child.
The Lost Books of Jess did like the wet cat bracket of like MMCs. And I was like, he has to win, Jess. Like this is wet cat energy.
Very wet.
100%. Just looks miserable.
Yeah.
Yes.
All they want in life is to sit in front of a fire with like a warm tea and to be left alone. Like,
just sit in his garden. No one come around.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Okay. All right. That's a good top 3. I am not judging those answers at all. I think
just
that's
wait.
good.
Thank you.
Just wait until you're done with Amber V. Nicole's.
I can
you'll
already
have
see
Sam
this
Kyle.
coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see this
For
coming.
sure.
Yeah, a mile away.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
And last one, Henri or Vance?
Henri,
I knew
obviously.
you-
What kind of
we were
question is
I
that?
totally knew it.
One of them is the hero. The other one is the villain.
So we've concluded the podcast with
Scene.
Penn Cole.
Scene.
That
So
is being
good.
escorted away.
Okay, maybe hero is a stretch.
If you hear some sirens
maybe
behind
that's a
you, don't
stretch.
worry.
Yeah,
Some
no,
sirens?
it's just like a bit of a stretch.
I mean,
what?
Well,
We have to
listen,
throw
his
that in
journey's
there.
not over, okay? So we'll see.
Okay. Yeah, we will. We'll see if he's okay. I'll wait.
Oh, but that just reminds me, seeing someone do a line of Henri merch and your
I buy it all.
promotion.
Like I have a
yeah.
whole closet of Henri merch.
God, I love it
They
so
make it for
much.
me because I alone will keep them in business.
I love it
Yes,
so
you
much.
alone. There,
Yeah.
there cannot be another Henri
Truly me alone.
apologist out there. Yeah.
There's some, and I
There are
bet I
some,
could
I'm sure.
convert you if I give you my whole spiel on Henri.
You know what? If we had a
I
Henri
can-
POV, I'm sure we would be team Henri. Like
Maybe if you understood him a little better. Right
maybe
now,
look
I
at
understand
Penn's even
nothing.
like maybe
maybe
that's far.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe
Oh.
maybe you'll get that in a future book. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, let me hold my tongue
Did
because
you? I'm sorry.
I don't. Jordan cannot.
some-
She's like, nope,
Is there
not
some
for me.
yarfing?
I'm gonna.
It went too far. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna hold back my Henri hate just a little because you've said that because I don't want to have to eat my words later. But right
Okay,
now,
here's what I'll say briefly about Henri. I mean, I could talk about him for hours. He's my favorite. But here's what I'll say briefly. We were talking earlier about doing the reread, right? And catching things that you don't catch on the first time around. I think on the first read, all you see Henri as is this guy who's in Luther's way, right? And
Yes.
and maybe the boyfriend that we don't necessarily want her to end up with. And that's fine. That's totally fair because next to Luther, like who compares? I'm sorry.
No,
But hopefully on the reread, you can appreciate him for the other role that he plays in the story, which is kind of the voice of the mortals who have been oppressed, who have been punched down, who have been fighting for their liberation and their rights for so long and have not been heard. And they're angry. They are angry and they are willing to do whatever it takes to finally be heard. And I think if you look at Henri less as a love interest and more as, you know, a mortal and the voice of the mortals as a group, I think you can appreciate him a little bit differently.
Yeah,
I'm pissed off.
I do. See,
Yeah.
told you.
I do
never
now.
you.
Yeah.
I told you.
yeah. See, while I was never obviously, I was never team Henri, as most of us aren't. I didn't have the same like visceral reaction as I see some people do. But the reread, I can understand it. But when there are a couple moves that he makes that I'm like, I don't.
Strangle
Like, you've known her your whole life, and you just like that's the border. And I get what you're saying, but I'm just like.
We're seeing those things from DM's POV, right? And she's seeing what she wants to see and not seeing what she doesn't want to see.
Yeah.
And we're not necessarily seeing his motivations because neither of them are being super honest with the other about what they're up to and why they're doing it. And so I think if you're sitting in his shoes and you see this person who was your most loyal friend who grew up with you, you two have been on the same page about these evil descended your entire lives.
Or you thought.
And now all of a sudden she's cuddling up to them. She's wearing their clothes and their jewelry. And so she's only hanging out with them and not hanging out with any of her mortal friends anymore. You might feel betrayed and angry as well. Is all I'm saying.
I'm currently pissed off because now I'm seeing it. Okay, right? I am understanding because you're right. The entire time, Henri has been a annoying roadblock to Luther, but also I've felt like he's been this box that has been trying to contain Diem. But you're right. I don't have the full picture, and
because technically she ghosts him. If you really think about the timeline, once she gets crowned, she ghosts him. She doesn't even send him a letter. She doesn't give him a letter. She it's
and he feels that. He feels abandoned. He feels betrayed. And if you kind of get into Heat in particular, there's a conversation that they have in Heat, and he kind of says that, you know what I mean? Yeah. She's upset because he's acting like she's dead now that she's a descendant, but is it really about that? Or is that she's dead to him because she left him behind?
She left him.
And
No.
I mean, this is my baby. I love him. I feel bad for him. I think when it comes to Diem and Henri, there's not one that's right or wrong. I think they both made mistakes. They both had good intentions. They both screwed up, and they're both trying their best as two young people who are, learning. They're each other's kind of first loves. And so those, they're messy sometimes.
Yeah. They're just navigating the new world that they've found themselves in. So good grief. Not me liking Henri. Ugh.
Okay.
Scrub that from the record.
I have some Henri merch.
No, that's there forever.
Too far.
That's there forever.
Discount code Henri10 for 10% off.
I am going to, now I know what I'm getting Dev for her birthday this year.
Perfect.
Yeah. I can make stuff on my Cricut. Perfect. I can make our own Henri merch. And it'll be perfect.
Do not do that. I don't know if I'm there yet. I'm understanding. Okay. I don't know if I'm Team Henri yet. I don't know if I'm joining Penn yet, but I am very understanding. I like now when I do my next reread, I'll actually look at him like that. I'll try to see that and see how that makes me feel.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Okay. So,
I'll be here when you're ready to mea culpa.
No. Great. I'm so happy for me that I'll have that. That support. Aren't you just a supportive queen? Okay, so is there a specific author that got you hooked on fantasy, or a specific book? Or I know some people it even sparks from a TV show as a child, and then you're like, okay, I'm in this world.
No, it's definitely a very a book that stayed with me just at a core level, which is Kushiel's Dart by Jacqueline Carey. It is 25 years old now. I read it when I was a teenager, and it was unlike anything I'd ever read. I always read fantasy, and it was especially then very male dominated. Every book on the shelf pretty much was by a male author featuring a male lead, with men on the cover. If there was a woman, she was scantily clad and just kind of the damsel in distress who was there for the sex scenes and then kind of pushed aside. And
which those sex scenes, not very good.
Not good, right? Not boobing boobily. No, absolutely not. We don't play with that. And so I loved the aspect of fantasy that was kind of fantastical and magic and dragons and these big epic adventures that people were going on. But I wish that I saw more women in them, and especially women in roles that weren't relegated to love interest or villain, catty, evil, manipulative woman.
Yep.
That was kind of it. And so that was the first book I remember reading that was written by a woman, had a female main character. There were a ton of strong women in there. Some of them were good, some of them were bad. It focused on issues that were really important to women, like bodily autonomy and consent and sexual liberation. It was, it's very sexy. It's definitely very sexy. There's a beautiful romance, absolutely stunning romance at the heart of it. And I thought, oh my gosh, where is this kind of book? I want 1,000 more of this book, And at the time, there wasn't 1,000 of that kind of book. There were just a very small handful of authors doing it. In particular, because only a couple of publishers were publishing fantasy, and it was all male editorial staffs, and they were choosing books that appealed to men. And so just these very few women were slipping through.
Ugh.
And that is kind of when I thought, this is what I want to write. This is what I want to read. This is my genre. Like, I'm a romantasy girly. We didn't have that name for it back then, but
Yeah.
I've been a romantasy girly for 20 years. And it never left me that belief that this should be a bigger thing. And then when ACOTAR kind of blew up over the pandemic, I think it shined a much bigger light on romantasy, and people realize there is fantasy out there that really caters more to a female audience and tells our stories. And that was when I knew, like, it's time to strike. It's time to go.
Yeah, this is now.
I always wanted to write it, but that was when I thought I can write this and actually have a career doing it.
Oh, and you do. Look at you.
It's wild.
Makes me happy.
Young
I'm gonna get us
so happy.
I'm gonna get us pom poms because I feel like we're always.
Yes.
So we need to like that needs to be like you need. I feel like I can just picture the pom poms. Yeah. Yeah, I love that. You had that moment, and now I'm gonna have to look that book up because.
Yeah, I know. Me too. Right? I want to.
So it was a trilogy. Cush You'll Start. I forget what the next two are called. But then actually just last August in 2024, because romantasy kind of got big again, she actually released a new book, which is Cush You'll Start from the male love interest POV.
Oh, I love that.
Which is fantastic. I know. So it's cool to see even these kind of older books get a resurgence and get new life.
Right. Because you have new readers who are looking specifically for that. Right. I love that. That makes me happy.
Do you have favorites from this last year? What are a few of your top books?
So I didn't do a ton of reading last year because I was in drafting mode
busy.
the entire year. The ones that really stood out to me were I didn't read a ton in my genre, especially because I try not to read fantasy while I'm writing fantasy or else lines can get crossed. But Witch Collector by Charissa Weeks was really, I know. And she's just phenomenal. I love her as a human being. So it was great when her book was also really good.
Yes.
Nice when those two things match up. And then kind of outside of that, I read a lot of romance, like rom-coms and contemporary romance. And this one, I was so unexpected and I loved it. It's called That Time I Got Drunk and Yeeted a Love Potion at a Werewolf by Kimberly Lemming. All of her books have like the funniest titles and like the cutest covers.
Yes, gorgeous.
And like, I feel like people discredit them because they look silly, right? They look like they would be weirder, sillier fluff. And they're not. They're like these beautiful stories and these amazing characters. And like, I just adore them.
See, I just knew we were besties. And so the craziest thing, actually, I just have to do this side note, is that, so the reason I even know you exist in the world as a person is my other best friend, Glenn, who I think has probably messaged you a couple times as well, but she's the one who told me, hey, this author, I just read this series, you have to read it. And Charissa Weeks is also her favorite author the Witch Collector series. So I know, Glenn, if you're listening, she's for us.
Thanks, Glenn.
Pen is for us. Do you hear that? Yeah. We love her. Yep.
Can you hear it? Can you hear it? The future Glenn is squealing right now. I'm so excited.
Glenn is screaming. I bet you she's screaming listening to this right now. Perfect. Okay. And then, so have you met any of your favorite authors? Like, are there authors who you've been like, oh, I love their work, or I've read one of their books, and then you've met them in real life?
I've only done one event, so I've only had a chance to meet a few of them. Now, I talked to a lot of them online, which is crazy to me because as a reader, I fangirled over so many of these people, and now I'm like in DMs chatting with them about industry stuff.
Sliding in the DMs.
Absolutely mind-blowing to me. I actually recently had one of them who I'm obsessed with. I love her books. And I mean, I've read everything she's written, who I mentioned in a comment somewhere like, oh, you should read this book by this person. And she responded and she was like, "You've read my books? Oh my God. Like Penn Cole's read my books." I was like, what? It's like
Me?
such a funny moment because I feel like this nobody, right? This just reader who's obsessed with these authors, and that's not how they perceive me anymore. So that was a kind of a really fun moment. But I think the only people, I mean, I met a ton of people at RomanticyCon Orlando. I met Charissa, which was great. I met LJ Andrews, who, if you haven't chatted with her, she's so funny. Everything she says cracked me up. She is low-key hilarious. Who else? There were so many really cool people at that con that I got to meet. Yeah. And I'm really excited about this year because especially RomanticyCon LA is like stacked with incredible authors. So I'm pumped about that.
Yeah, you'll meet some new people. That's exciting. Yeah, that's really exciting. I love that for you.
Yeah. Back to your own work. We talk a lot and we hear a lot about Burn, and we know that there is stuff written. Obviously, we got an exclusive quote.
Stuff written,
but where is Burn in its process?
So I don't want to say too much because I worry about making people think it's going to be... I worry about giving people any kind of false impression about when it's going to release. Yeah. And I don't want to disappoint anyone because we've already had to delay it so much. I don't want to do it again. I will say it is very substantially complete. Not complete, but like we're very close. Right. And we have a release date tentatively internally that we're working to hit. I don't know if it's going to happen or not. But hopefully this year, is the plan.
Okay, hopefully.
But there's so many, especially now with like the trad deal, there's so many pieces that have to be in place in order to say, this date is firm and it will not change because it's no longer just me, right? There's like a team of people. So I have to get sign off from so many different people to say, yes, we can be ready by this date. And that they're all kind of waiting on me right now for me to say the book is final, no more changes, ready to go. Yeah. And as soon as I do that, it's completely my fault. Nobody else.
No. And I think
as soon as I do that, then they all start doing their jobs.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of fans and readers don't realize that it's not just you finish writing the story and put it out. I don't think a lot of people realize the process and all the steps that have to happen beyond just getting the original story on page, like the edits and the going back and then like formatting and all these different steps. I don't think people really understand what all is involved. And so
it's
I totally understand not
making
promises.
And sometimes it can go quickly. Like with Spark, it went, well, it didn't go quickly. It was like 2 years, but because it was a book one, I had a lot more freedom to just do whatever, and get it out there. This is the last chance I have with these characters, with this world. I mean, it is done after this. It is done.
No more.
So, I mean, maybe there'll be a spinoff in the future, but it won't be like these main characters, right? I want them to have, if they live, I want them to have peace.
If they live.
Listen, okay, it's a war. Yes. Everybody can't survive.
I love you so much. I keep saying it, but this is like I love it.
I was so annoyed.
It's war, baby. I mean,
kinds of readers.
I know.
Blood's gotta be shed.
And so I totally understand like people being, I don't understand people being jerks online about the book not being released. That I will understand. But I get it because that cliffhanger.
I know. I did this to myself. I 1000%
You did it to yourself.
Did it to myself.
The cliffhanger.
What can I say?
It's been tearing me up since I read it. But number two, you also just pretty much answered another question I had, which was like, what would be next after this? Like, I didn't know if you would add another book at the end or like say, oh yeah, 2 more books or like 3 more books. So the fact that this is going to be the end.
I love that you're doing that though. I love that you're doing that and you're saying that because to have a sense of just finality, I think without trying to be like, here's a little more. Oh, surprise, here's more. Like, I just love the closing of that
I get why authors do that, kind of stay in one world or with one group of characters for a long time. But I think creatively that's a box, and I kind of want to break out of. Like, I've done a lot with this world and this magic system and all of that. And I kind of am ready to like do something different.
Do something.
And also just like from a practical business point, the more books you have in a world, the harder it is for new readers, the more intimidating it is for new readers to enter into that, if they need to read, 2 trilogies and then a duology and then 2 standalones and a prequel. It's too much sometimes for a lot of people.
Yes.
And so I think it's nice to have a lot of different entry points into your writing. So that new people who maybe didn't want to or didn't have the time to read like a 4-book series before can start fresh with me.
Yeah, and feel like I can actually finish this. I can do this. It's not too intimidating.
Yeah, and feel like they're getting a full story and not like, I'm missing things because I didn't read that first series. Yeah.
Right. Which is also nice that you're taking so long with Burn, because like I feel like you're probably going to be able to wrap it up so nicely for us. And
I'm trying so hard.
I guess apparently.
I have dug myself. I mean, I have dug myself into a million graves because I had all these complex plot lines and all of these subplots, and every single, almost every named character, right? Every kind of major character has their own plot line, has their own arc.
Yeah.
That makes it fun to read in the books because they get very fleshed out. It's a nightmare to write at the end because they all have to resolve.
Right.
Not in
you have to go back
pages.
Right. Right. Or I mean, to tell you the truth, I don't mind. Not gonna lie. Okay. I ate up that 1,000-page book like how fast did I flew through that. So
it's not gonna be much shorter. So
you're welcome. I'd love to hear it.
Figured.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. And now I have all these theories about who's not going to make it. And that's really exciting for me, just because I feel like who would be like, whose story is going to be done? I don't think so. I think he's going to go and have his little babies. And
yep. I think he's going to be happy.
With his new replacement healer. And
I forgot about her.
The person who took her job. Took her job.
Lana's innocent.
And then took her man. Is she innocent? She's a spy. She's a spy.
No, listen.
Oh, they're all spies. They're all spies.
On the reread, Dev, the reread, she asks DM, "Oh, are you still engaged to Henri?" Like before we know anything, and I'm like,
right, nosy. Why are you asking?
Something was going on.
Yeah. Lana was like, "Uh-oh." I was writing that knowing what I was knowing. I was like, oh, no. Lana's like, oh, shit.
What have I done? Yeah.
I didn't realize they were still together.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Henri, little dirty dog, and Lana, they deserve each other.
Okay, but it's not like DM was... Let's remember what DM was up to during that time.
I know. But it's Luther.
Post-Luther kiss.
Don't don't be an apology. Don't.
Luther he's just magic. There's something magical. Okay, my sister DM, she was fighting for her life with that man. She couldn't resist him. He was just there. But
she was the first of the two of them to kiss someone else. Okay, so let's.
You're right.
We support women's wrongs, but
we do.
I mean,
you're right. Wow, Henri might be a good guy.
I mean, he's at least no worse than
he's no worse than DM. You're right. No, because you're right. For everything that DM was doing, he was like they were matching each other essentially, and just being lost in communication.
And that's why she was not mad at Henri in the end when she found out them together. Sorry, spoiler. When
I think that ship has sailed a little bit.
Yeah.
Oops. But anyways, that's why she couldn't fault him for things. Right? Because she felt a sense of relief. Like I was going through this.
I think it's like when you break up with somebody, even if you dumped them, right? And even if you know you don't want to be with them, when you see them with somebody new, you have that feeling of like,
It's like
you know,
yeah,
even if you
yeah.
absolutely don't want to be in that person's shoes,
Right. The
there's
ship has sailed. Yeah.
there's still that feeling of like, oh. So I think
Seeing
she
them with
had
someone
that
else.
sense of like, it's hard to see the man that I once cared about and saw myself with somebody else. But then I don't want to be there. And actually, I have something better.
Yeah. And
Very
she felt
much so better.
But I feel like, tell me if I'm wrong, a little bit of part of her felt validated in her own actions by seeing that.
1000%.
She chomped on. She was like, "Oh, he's doing that. Okay, good." Then me and for sure, there was some of that.
Because she'd been beating herself up. Let's remember what she was up to before that moment. There were things that happened.
Yeah, there were things without spoilers. Exactly.
She had been beating herself up a little bit over it, and I think that was like the releasing of the guilt.
Yeah, for her. Okay, all right. I'm going to hold my tongue on Henri. Not too much on Henri, Dev. In 2025, we're giving Henri grace.
Just give him space to be himself.
Yeah.
You don't have to love him, but...
I'm not going to, I'm going to just see. We're going to see how this all ends, okay?
All right.
So we'll just have to wait and see how Penn decides to wrap up Henri's story and everyone else's story. And we're really excited for the new book. So is there anything else did you want to read another quote? Did you have something else from Bird?
Pull up the document here.
Yeah. Just start from the beginning, actually.
Like, just pick a chapter, any chapter. Yeah. It's okay. We'll wait.
I will say the first 3 chapters are on my website. So if anybody wants a little sneak preview, you can get it at penncole.com/newsletter. And you can read both the bonus chapter from Glow and then the 3 preview chapters from Burn. So once you finish Heat, go check them out.
Yeah, which we will. Good. Are there any, share your socials with us. We'll have them linked in the episode description and stuff. But for our listeners, where can they find you and connect with you and join this amazing community?
Sure. I am at author Penn Cole on all of the social media platforms. My website is penncole.com. I'm most active on Instagram and on my Discord, which is linked on my website and on my Instagram bio. It's an open reader group for anybody who wants to join. It is chaos. It is madness.
Chaotic.
It's slightly occult, but in a fun way.
We're all happy to be there, though. We're happy to be there.
Yep.
We're all happy to be there.
That's right.
We thank the Overlord every day.
Yeah.
Without the death or the sex scandals or any of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
The fun part.
There are sometimes penises, though.
There's lots of penises.
It
is not safe for work.
No, but there are pets. There are pet pictures if you're into that. So
pictures. Yes.
Yeah.
It's true.
Join.
True. This is a great advertisement. Like dicks and pets.
Yeah.
Pretty much sums us up over there at Pen Pals.
Yep. Love it.
Thank you so much for joining. Like, this has been so fun, and we're so honored to have you on. So thank you. And thank you, everyone, for listening to us ramble about and with Penn Cole. If you're looking for more romance recs, be sure to follow us on Instagram and Threads, and follow us or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. You can find our favorite book recs from our episodes as well as behind-the-scenes content. Again, that's at Romance Recs Pod, so be sure to give us a follow, and we'll be back in a couple weeks. Bye.
Thank you for having me.
Bye.
Thank you.